One of the most interesting NBA rumors that I've heard in a while is that the league's commissioner Adam Silver is on a short list of potential candidates to be the successor of Bob Iger as Disney CEO. As of now, it's just a report of something that could potentially happen, but if it did, the NBA would be looking for a new commissioner to run the league. With someone else in charge, the game would obviously change, for the better or for the worse. This got me thinking, what would I change if I was the commissioner of the NBA? Today, I put together a list of 3 things that I would do to fix the NBA if I was in charge, and let me know in the comments what 3 things you would do if you were the commissioner of the league. Let me first start out by saying that I'm not a big fan of Adam Silver, and of the way he's ran the league. Without sugarcoating anything, in many ways, I believe he's failed the NBA, and one of the biggest areas that he's done that is in the aspect of flopping. One of the worst things you can do as a parent, as a disciplinarian, or as a leader is threaten really strong consequences for breaking certain rules just to weakly enforce those rules when the time comes for the consequences. It makes you into a joke and teaches your subordinates that they don't need to respect or adhere to your authority. That's exactly what Adam Silver did when it comes to flopping. Here's what I mean by this. In 2012, the NBA announced that the league would start strongly cracking down on flopping. The rules stated that any player who flops during the regular season would first be warned, followed by fines in increments of $5,000 for each successful flop during the season. When this rule was announced, there was a lot of excitement amidst basketball fans, as many people believed, including myself, that this marked the end of flopping. We couldn't have been more incorrect, as it seems that flopping has only gotten worse. Since the league has established the rule, there have been only 31 fines given to the players, hundreds if not thousands of flops during that time span, and yet only a mere 31 fines. Famous floppers like James Harden and LeBron James have been fined only once, and Chris Paul has never been fined. If that doesn't get the point across, then consider this. How many total flops do you think you've seen in the last 2 seasons of the NBA? Well, believe it or not, the NBA hasn't fined a single player in the last 2 years. It appears as if Adam Silver has completely given up on flopping. Even if the league was giving out more penalties, a warning and a $5,000 fine was such a weak approach from the start. If I was the commissioner, I would crack down harshly to such an extent that it simply couldn't continue on for that long. For egregious flops, the player would be given either a technical foul or a personal foul. If the flop came from an offensive player, it would be a loss of possession to go along with the foul. Multiple violations within the same season would result in a 1-game suspension without pay. If anyone thinks this sounds too harsh, then they probably handle this issue about as well as Silver has. The next thing I would address is the massive issue of load management. Minnesota's young star Anthony Edwards recently stated my thoughts on the matter perfectly.
If there's anything I could change about the league to make it better, probably just all the guys sitting resting. That's the only thing I probably don't like. 80%, you got to play. I don't like all the sitting, missing games and stuff. Like these people might have enough money to come to one game. You know what I'm saying? And that might be the game they come to, and then you sitting out. You know what I'm saying? So I take pride in trying to play every game because I don't know. It might be one fan that has never seen me play, and I'm trying to play. So that's the only thing I don't like. Guys just sitting out.
This isn't just a small issue, as many young fans often end up disappointed when their favorite player chooses to sit out the only game that they may ever attend. If you don't realize just how common load management is compared to years past, then consider this. Last season, league-wide, only 5 players played all 82 games of the regular season, and 13 players played at least 80 games. None of those 13 players were an NBA All-Star. 30 years before that was the 1991-92 season, and that year, 53 players played all 82 games, and a whopping 105 players played at least 80 games. 14 All-Stars played at least 80 games that season, which is well over half of the NBA's All-Stars that year. Decades ago, almost every fan had an experience worth the price of their ticket, but nowadays, you never know who will be on the court on any given night. Sure, it helps preserve the health of the players, and it helps them be in the best shape possible for the playoffs, But these players are made millionaires thanks to the supporting customers. The least they can do is go out there consistently and show their appreciation for the fans by actually participating in the game. But obviously, that's probably a little too much to ask for without the commissioner stepping in and giving some sort of enforcement. Now, I understand that being the NBA's commissioner doesn't mean that you have unlimited power, as the collective bargaining agreement and contracts play a part of this as well. But I would do everything in my power to encourage players to participate. In most jobs across the United States, if you don't show up for work, then you don't get paid. Obviously, there's some exceptions to that, but for the most part, that's simply how it is. Too many players are paid a full salary while missing a tremendous amount of games. But if their pay was dependent on it, trust me, they would be in uniform more consistently. I would endorse contract-specific incentives that would reward players financially for playing at least 75 games in a season. A bonus only seems fitting for a player showing up to work diligently. Unfortunately, under Adam Silver, this isn't the reality we're living in, as it almost seems like load managing has his stamp of approval. Speaking of which, today's video is brought to you by Stamps.com. 2023 is already well underway, so don't wait any longer to level up your small business and set your year up for success. Get ahead of the competition by using Stamps.com to mail and ship. Stamps.com lets you print your own postage and shipping labels right from your home or office. It's ready to go in minutes, so you can get back to running your business sooner. Me and my wife both work online, and we love Stamps.com and use them for our businesses, not just as a way of saving lots of time, but also to save plenty of money. Postage rates just increased again. Luckily, Stamps.com has the best discounts in the industry, with rates you literally can't find anywhere else, like up to 84% off USPS and UPS. For 25 years, Stamps.com has been indispensable for over 1 million businesses. Get access to the USPS and UPS shipping services you need to run your business right from your computer anytime, day or night. Set your business up for success when you get started with Stamps.com today. Sign up at Stamps.com/JohnnyArnett for a special offer that includes a 4-week trial, plus free postage and a free digital scale. No long-term commitments or contracts. Just go to Stamps.com/JohnnyArnett. The third thing I would do as commissioner would probably be my most controversial decision. I would extend the three-point line. Throughout the years, the three-point shot has completely taken over the game of basketball, to the point that any player who can't make the shot consistently is seen as a detriment to the offense. Today, the league is shooting about 3 times more three-pointers than they did in the 90s, and about double the amount of the 2000s. The reason for this is obvious. It's simple math. If your team is shooting 40% from 3-point range and 50% from 2-point range, over the course of the game, you will score more points by shooting 3s than by shooting 2s. It's simply the most valuable shot in the game today. It no longer matters which position you play on the court. If you're playing, then you're expected to launch the 3-ball. Now, this is a wonderful thing in the sense that more players are becoming sharpshooters. But the part that isn't great is how it affects the variety of the game. In my opinion, the game has lost much of its diversity of style. I'm not saying there isn't superstar players who are uniquely different from each other in today's game, because there certainly is. But they aren't quite as unique as they were in the 1990s, where players were more celebrated for their differences. Shaq was the one who could simply overpower you. Hakeem was the one with the artistic finesse. Ewing was a blend of both. Penny was the point guard who could facilitate and score. Shawn Kemp was the one who punished you with his freakish athleticism. Barkley and Malone were bullies in the paint, but just don't ask them to shoot 3-pointers. Reggie Miller was your downtown assassin. Scottie Pippen was your slasher facilitator blend. And Jordan was the one who had a bit of everything. These past stars were allowed to thrive in their own unique and specific skill sets. Again, there are plenty of players in the modern game who are uniquely different in their skill set, but they're not allowed to fully embrace those differences because of the now common belief that every star needs to be a ball handler and a perimeter threat. And unfortunately, if you don't do both of those things, people start to think you suck. Take Russell Westbrook and Ben Simmons as examples. Now here's how extending the 3-point line fixes this. By increasing the distance of the 3-point shot, the conversion rate obviously goes down, which then naturally increases the value of the 2-point shot. In that case, players like Joel Embiid can completely embrace his mid-range game and become a modern rendition of Hakeem Olajuwon on offense. Players like Zion Williamson can fully embrace his bully ball style without having to step outside of his comfort zone and shoot three-pointers. And ideally, we would never have to see an awkward three-point attempt again from players like Giannis, as he can embrace his natural skill set. Now, some may say that this would hinder the great three-point shooters of this era, but I would actually argue the contrary. With a three-point line a couple feet beyond what it currently is, players like Steph Curry, Damian Lillard, and Trae Young become even more special because they're more of a rarity. If not everyone can make shots from the distance that they can and is worth more points, then they naturally increase their demand and are celebrated to an even greater extent for their uniqueness. At the end of the day, I think this would work. But even if it didn't, you could just do what they did in the late 90s and put the three-point line back to its original position after a couple years. The risk is minimal, but the potential reward is through the roof. So what do you guys think? What are 3 things you would change if you were the NBA's commissioner? Let me know in the comments section below. Thanks for watching as always. Make sure to like and subscribe for more basketball content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.